What's up, everybody on YouTube? I just want to highlight something really cool happening in the Mortal Kombat community, courtesy of Cease MH, one of the best Gears players from MK1, who's now fully devoted his time to not just doing graphic design for the community, but also coaching and overall just analysis and breakdowns of the game. So a lot of top players obviously love to share their tier lists. Usually when a tier list is made by a single person, it just comes down to personal biases, really what characters that player likes or doesn't like playing. They can try to be objective, but if you only have one source of information, there's going to be a little bit of, objective bias in there. So what Cease decided to do was create a tier list based entirely on matchup charts. But the thing is, everyone's matchup charts would disagree with each other. So what he actually did, if you go down this thread, is you see he found basically the top players of all the characters in the game and had them give their matchup charts, and then debate with the players of other characters who might disagree on those matchups to figure out exactly, what both sides can, come down to if they can agree, making that objective matchup. So let's just run through the list right now. I just want to see how the list came out. First off, this is a really interesting way to do a tier list. I think this itself has a lot more value than just, one person's opinion. It goes based on how that character does against the entire cast, which is something really underrated in a lot of matchups charts, honestly, especially since, people don't usually play the entire cast. They can only really judge a character's strength based on how they do against them, right? Or how well they do with that character. So Cease actually compiled some really impressive math skills to basically determine the grading system for each character on this tier list. You can see it right here. Basically for every poor matchup a character has, it would be minus a certain amount of points. And for every good matchup, it would be plus a certain amount of points, and then 5/5, so just add 0 to the total, with each character starting at 100. So with that all being said, let's get right into what the list says. We'll start at the bottom. Not very surprising is Havoc. There's just not really a lot of matchups where Havoc schools really fill out a niche. I think the low tiers is honestly, it's really interesting just to see them in this order, because I feel like everyone has kind of had, basically from the F through the B tier, everyone has kind of had these characters at the bottom. Maybe Geras only more so recently. He's just gotten a little worse as the meta's developed. But it's just really interesting seeing it ordered according to what all the best players think. A big outlier you might see off the bat is Kenshi down here. You can't really take this matchup tier list as an objective tier list, because Kenshi gets the hint to Sento. He kind of messes up every character in this game. The way that Kenshi's matchups were kind of formed for this matchup chart is kind of, in the hypothetical sense of if the round starts and there's characters with tools to basically prevent Kenshi from getting Sento, they win the matchup via that. I'm definitely a little surprised to see him this low, but we ball. Rounding off the A tier is a lot of what I think people consider the mid-tier characters. I think Shao is very strong, but I can see why, just considering matchup charts-wise, a lot of his tools don't really work against other characters in the cast as well as they do against my character of Sindel. So totally acceptable placement there. Shang in this looks like he's basically directly in the middle of the list, which is I think where people have had him for the longest time. No one can tell if he's the best or the worst. Subbing Katana after that. And then we have our 3 S tiers, which are basically all the characters who have 100 or higher. So they either have the same starting score as they did, or all higher, meaning they're basically better characters in the game than they are worse. And I think that's a really good criteria to match the S tier for. So starting off, we have Sindel. Cease reached out to me to help with the Sindel matchup portion of this tier list, and I happily obliged. I think it basically came out, save for maybe some player disagreements, exactly how I sent it, which is forgetting all the even matchups, Sindel wins against Baraka, Havoc, Lao, Lime, Nitara, Reptile, Scorpion, Smoke, and Sub-Zero, and then loses to Johnny, Melina, Peacemaker, Quan, which I kind of disagree with. I think that might be 5/5. Reiko, and yeah, that's it for losing matchup. So really strong matchup chart going into this meta, starting off at the beginning of S tier. And shockingly enough, very different from a lot of tiers we're used to seeing. It's not just Raiden and Kenshi at the top. Maybe not so surprising this fact that Peacemaker inhabits his own tier at 110 plus. So a 10-point differential from the starting 100% grade. Basically in his own realm. And then after that, we actually have Tanya, Raiden shortly after, and then Ashra. Ashra, kind of a character who's not really spoken of as this top 5 character anymore, but I guess she doesn't really have any losing matchups. Of course, there's the potential that this will be revised at some point, especially as future cameos and DLC characters come out. but I think this is a really good place to start in terms of the discussion on who are truly the best characters in the game. And I think this is honestly a really good resource to go off of. So once again, thank you to Cease for checking out. I'm going to link his thread below in the description, so you can add to any of the discourse down below, or check out Cease's other content. Really cool guy. And that's about it for now. We'll try to make it work, with our barely S tier character. We'll see if nerfs come by pro comp to knock this guy down a peg or two, and I'll catch you guys there. See you.